This happened a long time ago. I got cheated by someone who I knew very well. I was obviously disappointed, angry, and irritated. My granny asked me what happened. I tell her the story and the backstory. She listens all the way, and after my non stop rant, she says, when you know someone is a cheat, you cut and run. Don't let them turn into your anchors. If for whatever reason you are not able to cut and run, then make it clear to them what they are doing is not acceptable. Whether it's you on the receiving end of his actions or if it's someone else, it's a strict no if he wants to be around you. But instead, if you just sat there and watched him do whatever he does, it's only a matter of time before he gives you that same dose of medicine. And don't blame him for doing this to you. You are the one who sat there asking him to do it, and he did it. So he did not cheat you, he just did what he always does. You asked him to come and cheat you, and he did. So get on, get over it, and remember this. So the Republican Party is now facing the exact same situation. At least for me, it was a one time problem. I cut him out and ran. But the GOP cannot. They sat there and watched Trump call Ukraine president and ask a foreign power to investigate a domestic political opponent and threaten to pull out the aid if he didn't accept his request. In earlier days, the GOP would have lit the media on fire if a Democratic president had done something like that. But the current GOP staved off the impeachment, covering up an all out assault on our standards. Then they sat there and watched when Trump disparaged female reporters, called media companies as fake news, and even joined him when he systematically dismantled the reputation of all our institutions. The FBI is a deep state. Yes, sir. CDC is useless. Very good, sir. Scientists working for our own administration have an agenda. Awesome, sir. We will spin it as scientists are after liberty and call it the resistance movement. We will get a scientist to call for the resistance. I will never question Vladimir Putin for placing bounties on American soldiers in Afghanistan. We already know that, sire. And I will keep retweeting conspiracy theories and insinuate the whole Bin Laden raid was fake. We know where you are going with this, sire. As usual, we won't say a word. I am not going to stop people from attacking the GOP in Georgia for not helping me throw out the results. Sire, this is our party. We might lose the 2 Senate seats. I know, but the Georgia GOP didn't stop the certification and help me, so what is in it for me? And my friends, that is exactly what is going on in Georgia right now. Trump's allies who are helping him file lawsuits against the election, an election he lost by more than 6 million votes, are now encouraging MAGA followers to sink the 2 GOP Senate candidates in Georgia. It all started with none other than Don Jr. 2 days after the election was over, Don Jr. made a trip to Georgia, and at a rally outside the GOP headquarters, Jr. attacked the GOP for not standing behind Trump's efforts to overturn the results. Jr. ripped into the GOP, saying, "This party is gone, and anyone who doesn't fight should go with it."
Country.
Not the
when
one.
I hear there's a deadline, and then magically boxes appear later, we know that's against the law, but you get in front of a Democrat judge in a Democrat city with Democrat control, and it's okay. Then, before you can contest it, they throw those ballots in one big box. Now you can't tell which one is accurate and which isn't. I think the Democrats are used to this from a Republican Party that hasn't had a backbone. You're not going to see that this time around. That party is gone, and anyone that doesn't fight like that should go with it.
And the people who align their priorities with Trump's base, such as former Trump campaign legal member Sidney Powell and a well-known MAGA ally in Georgia, Attorney Linwood, are now trying to turn Trump's base against GOP in Georgia. In an interview with Newsmax, Sidney Powell said that she had evidence that will blow the results in Georgia and insinuated that Georgia Governor Brian Kemp will be implicated by her findings. Last Sunday, Linwood tweeted, "Politicians love votes and money. Want to get Senator Loeffler and David Perdue out of their basements to demand that action must be taken to fix steal of the November 3rd Georgia election? threaten to withhold your votes and money, demand that they represent you. And so far, Trump has not come out and denounced these two attorneys who are sincerely trying to turn his base against the GOP. Now, why is he doing that? Is he going to stop that? Trump is still trying to hold the idea that the election was stolen from him. Millions of Republicans have already bought into that story. The Trump campaign Twitter feed constantly makes things look like Trump is winning in his quest to overturn an election that was lost weeks ago. So, how is Trump now going to come out and say, "No, Georgians, this is all fine. I just lost the state by 12,000 votes"? He cannot and he will not. Well, Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood are going to let go of this opportunity to portray themselves as the true fighters for Donald Trump and get the backing of Trump's base while turning Georgia GOP into the villain? Of course not. Their needs are better served by attacking the GOP. Junior started it, and the MAGA leaders at the lower level listened, picked up the cue, and they are now running away with it. There is some chatter going on inside the Trump base, and they are asking die-hard Trump fans in Georgia to write Donald Trump's name in the ballots. The two Senate races in Georgia may end up with a margin of less than 1%. And if the MAGA crowd depresses the turnout by 1 or 2%, and if some GOP supporters get disillusioned in the electoral process and start to believe that the elections are fraudulent, then what energy will they have to vote? The elections are rigged, Trump won by a landslide, and he lost by 6 million votes. So what's the point in voting? What is the point in participating in a rigged election? What argument will Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue make to tell GOP voters in Georgia that the election will not be rigged this time and their votes will count? That it will be because of their votes the GOP will operate as a firewall in the Senate to the Biden administration's agenda. The base believes the election is rigged, and the GOP has nothing to convince the voters in Georgia because they sat and watched Trump denigrate the electoral process of the country, casting doubts about the system. And now they don't have a way or a voice or a reason to convince GOP voters in the state to believe in the opposite. They just don't. And they have been begging Trump to do this to them for the last 4 years. And if GOP loses both the Senate seats in Georgia, that will be the best parting gift ever given to the GOP in the history of the Senate. And they deserve every bit of that gift because they earned it. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe.